There have been some plans floating around, and one, the most important one, is bringing back the grand bargain. The grand bargain that cuts Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and also cuts taxes for corporations. That is going to be their plan. Representative Steve Stivers, he's a Republican and a friend of John Boehner, he said, quote, "We're getting closer to the point that everything's intertwined. Government funding, the debt ceiling, and spending. And so the best way out, I believe, and the only way for everyone to find an acceptable long-term solution is a big negotiation of everything. That includes something on entitlements, tax reform, something on a spending level, and wrap it in one box." And there you go. The grand bargain. The grand bargain that everyone has been itching to do. Entitlements. That means Medicare, Social Security, and Medicaid. Whenever they use the word entitlements, that's what they mean. And they've been looking to cut it. And actually, it's a huge win. It would be a huge win for Republicans if they manage to cut that. Because you got to understand, Republicans have been trying to cut Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security forever. Ever since the programs were instituted. Way back when, during the New Deal. They've been after it. And if they can get a Democratic president to do that, that's even more of a win. Because then they can come back later and say, look at that. President cut your Social Security, the Democrats. Vote for us. Vote for us. And it'll be so lost. The message will so be lost. The truth will be lost in a flurry of GOP messaging. Just like back in the 2012 elections, when they continuously hit the Democrats, President Obama, over a supposed cut in Medicare, which wasn't actually a cut. It was savings from the Affordable Care Act. But nonetheless, they called it a cut, and they tried running on that. Oh, Obama cut Medicare. You gonna vote for that? Now, President Obama, speaking of President Obama, he obviously wants to cut Social Security. He wants to cut entitlements. He said, quote, "If we want to do more deficit reduction, I've already put out a budget that says, let's do it. I'm willing to reform entitlements. I'm willing to, cut out additional waste that may be there. And I'm spending time, even without pressure from Congress, trying to figure out how we can cut out waste in the system." The grand bargain. Screwing you in order to enrich corporations. Because that's what they want. This giant focus on cutting spending even more. Now, you realize that we have cut spending so much over the past few years. We have cut spending during the Obama presidency. We spend less during the Obama presidency than we have under Bush. We have reduced our deficit by a lot. Michael Linden, Managing Director for Tax Policy at the Center for American Progress, had actually said, because we have cut so much, quote, "we've already essentially adopted the Ryan budget." Now, you remember the Paul Ryan budget, right? Back during the election. Paul Ryan budget was so extreme, so draconian, it made so many cuts that people were like, dude, no. We're totally against that. The American people were so against that that they re-elected President Obama. That's how much they didn't like the Ryan budget. Now we have cut pretty much to the same impact of the Ryan budget under Obama. It's almost like Romney did win and we didn't know it. President Obama had actually passed a budget, which is $600 billion in non-defense discretionary spending. Now, the continuing resolution voted for by the Senate Democrats, which is essentially now the Democratic position, is only $467 billion. Now the Democratic position is now on par with the Ryan budget. Who the fuck won the election again? What kind of world have we stumbled into? Where we are now under the Ryan budget, even though we have a Democratic president and a Democratic Senate. The grand bargain, man, it's coming, and it's not going to be good. It's going to cut spending even more. So what else is going to go?